Tonight, Fox Sports confirmed its broadcast for its IndyCar coverage. Is Will Buxton the right person to become the new voice of IndyCar? Junior Motorsports is entering the Daytona 500. Can Justin Allgaier help Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s team make its debut in the NASCAR Cup Series? Helio Castroneves is guaranteed a spot in the Daytona 500 despite being in an open car. What's this new rule that will prevent Castroneves from missing the Great American Race? Hello to all of our viewers watching here in the United States and around the world. Welcome to Grid Tonight, your weekly motorsports news program. I'm Kobe Lambert. With me are Joshua Birch from JB Motorsports, Matt White from Grid Endurance Performance Index, and Matthew Owens from the Ultimate Sports Radio Network. Excited to have you back again here in 2025, Matthew. And we do encourage everyone to interact with us in the chat, support us through Super Chat, and visit gridnetworktv.com for our latest content. Now, here's Josh with our top story this evening.
Thank you, Kobe. Good evening to yourself. Good evening to the two Matts as well. This is going to be quite an entertaining, interesting evening. So, on the first day of the 2025 Media Day for the NTT IndyCar Series, we've got it, finally. Fox Sports have announced its broadcast lineup. Long-time Formula One analyst Will Buxton will become the new voice of IndyCar, taking on play-by-play duties. This is a huge homecoming for Buxton, who previously worked for Fox Sports' Speed channel as an F1 reporter in the pits, as his first job on TV. When the rights to Formula One coverage in America transitioned to NBC Sports from 2013 throughout to 2017, Buxton moved over from Fox to NBC, and that gave him some opportunities to work as pit reporter in IndyCar, so he's no stranger to the series. When Liberty Media acquired Formula One, Buxton moved to an in-house position as digital presenter and played a key role in the launch and growth of F1 TV. Buxton will also be recognisable to anyone who's watched Formula One's popular Netflix series Drive to Survive. At the end of the week, Buxton participated in Prama's official IndyCar launch event, and he's been getting up to speed in preparation for his new role in broadcasting. Buxton said he's been an IndyCar fan for a long time, and having the chance to tell their stories and call their races is a dream come true. The graphic courtesy there of Fox Sports. Now we've got Matt White and Matthew Owens joining me for this segment as well. Matt W., starting with you on this one. Are you confident in Will Buxton becoming the new play-by-play commentator for IndyCar? And do you think Fox Sports has made the right move here by going after a major name in motorsports broadcasting?
Well, good evening, everybody. Big week for motorsport media. We're going to delve right into it on the show tonight with, and that's why our media guru, Mr. Owens, is with us. Buxton on IndyCar. Let me do the off-camera thing, like they do in Drive to Survive. Could this be the worst hire in the history of TV broadcasting? Yes. It's not. I mean, my first thought about this was, where has this come from? Apart from he works with Hinch on F1 TV. B, and we're going to get to this in a short while, is Adam Alexander now the A-plus player of motorsport play-by-play in the US? Because we've got Diffie, of course, on NASCAR and NBC, Australian, and now we're an Englishman doing IndyCar. That's not a good look for American play-by-play motorsport people. And let's face it, we all love Mike Joy, but he's not got many more years left in him, has he? On the grand scheme of things. So, I don't know. We talked about this, I think it was after the show last week, Josh, but after we'd gone off the air, and we've been back and forth about messages since about Will, because the rumours were bubbling. He kind of first came to my attention when because in the UK, Eurosport used to have GP2, as it was now Formula 2, and they would do their own commentary, as Eurosport does for pretty much everything, even though there is a perfectly fine English-speaking world feed commentary. And they used to have Martin Haven on. When Sky Sports F1 launched, we had Will Buxton doing GP2. I kind of warmed to him, and then he disappeared off, and Alex Jakes took the helm, and we know how successful that has been up until the end of last season. And now it kind of sort of faded away. Strive to Divide has brought Will Buxton back into the mainstream, I suppose. And I don't like this hire. I really do not like this hire. I stand to be corrected on this, and I've said this on social media this week, but I just don't think Will has got that energy that we've seen out of the last few people that have been doing IndyCar, especially obviously Diffie, who we all love, Bob Jenkins, Jerry Punch, Alan Bestwick, Jenna Fryer was wrong. So should be waving the flag for my English compadre here and getting the big job, but I don't like it. I don't like it. Size says it all.
Take your time.
First off, hello everybody. I don't know if I can still say Happy New Year, but to you guys, I will say Happy New Year.
It's Chinese New Year in the next few days.
Okay, well, very good then. I didn't even know that. Do you know how easy this should have been? It should have been as easy as A and B. I don't know, guys. I don't know where this came from. Like you said, Matt, I'm very confused where it came from. Alan Bestwick has been sitting right there. I'm about to blow everyone's minds. It's been 10 years since ESPN did NASCAR. It's been 10 years since he was on NASCAR on ESPN. It's been we're coming up on 7 years since he did IndyCar on ABC. It's been a long time where we have not heard from Alan Bestwick, other than if you're on the grounds at Indianapolis listening to the public address and a UConn women's basketball fan and a PBR fan. Anyway, it felt to me, as we waited for this whole process, it felt like it was just so simple. Bring Alan Bestwick to Fox to be the voice of IndyCar, and then also have him on your roster to slide into Mike Joy's seat when he retires, which has to be coming up soon. We love Mike Joy. One would think it would be within the next 5 years. It would be very difficult to see Mike Joy doing NASCAR in 2031. That just felt so easy and simple. But they haven't gone that route. I would love to know if they even talked to Alan, if they offered him the job. I would love to know that. We might never know that. But Fox, who has never been afraid since Fox Sports became a big player in the mid-90s, they've never been afraid to think outside of the box. I think they've gone too far outside of it here. Now, they haven't went out and said, hey, Kevin Burkhardt, who, of course, does the NFL, has a Super Bowl coming up here next month. Or they haven't gone and said Kenny Albert or someone like that, come do IndyCar. They haven't gone that route, which ESPN and ABC once did once upon a time ago, and even further back with the wide world of sports. It's a different time and age. They have gone with someone that knows about the sport. He says he's a fan of the sport. Have every reason to believe that he is a fan of the sport. I'm a fan of the sport. I didn't get a call. But I think the overarching issue here is, to what Matt said, man, where are we going to go for American voices in this sport? Because we're not seeing many get promoted. And I've been talking about this for years on whatever platform that I've been on, is that we have been so comfortable with Mike Joy in a booth since the late 80s, even on some networks. And certainly in a week-in, week-out basis on Fox since the turn of the century. And we got so used to Alan Bestwick or Bill Weber or Jerry Punch or Marty Reed or Alan Bestwick, who I said twice there, I think. I'm sorry, that's how much I love him. We just haven't been bringing young, new guys up. Adam Alexander was one of them he's taken off and done so many roles on TNT and Fox, and now back with TNT and Amazon. But it used to be we would have people on radio, mostly MRN, and they would graduate from pit road to the turns, from the turns to the booth, then the radio booth to TV in some way. That's how it was for Ken Squire. That's how it was for Mike Joy, for Alan Bestwick, so on down the line. We're not getting that all of a sudden. Rick Allen never was on radio for NASCAR. He got a big job with Speed doing the Truck Series, of course. The last guy, actually, that honestly you could say has made the move from radio to TV was Adam Alexander. I guess more recently, Ken Kuhn from radio to TV on pit road. But we're not bringing people up from the radio ranks here lately. And Matt, your point is well taken on where are we going to go for American voices, because I think the point of having an American voice and a voice that Americans are comfortable with is a huge part of this that I don't think they're getting here with Will Buxton. If you are a diehard IndyCar fan that doesn't care about Formula One and didn't watch Drive to Survive, you very well may not know who Will Buxton is, and you are not comfortable with someone new coming in to be your voice every race, every week, and especially for the 500, which is going to be watched by millions of people.
Yeah, and to that, you had on a kind of a similar thing when Lee Diffie took over at NBC. A couple of months or so back now, end of the summer, after post Olympics, everyone went, "Whoa, how good is this guy?" Like, obviously, there's, as we know from the ratings, there's not a lot of NASCAR fans that watch IndyCar. We all knew that Diffie was amazing. We've watched him in Superbikes and Supercars and IndyCar and every Supercross for years. Anything with super in the name, it seems. But then he goes to NASCAR and everyone's going, "This English guy's really good." He's Australian. He's Australian. But everyone's been, and we have on this program and on the network been raving about Lee for the back end of last season. And back to the American point, they had a number 2 at NBC, and he came in for that last run there after Lee moved. Kevin Lee, what happens to him now? Because I thought him, that we had the Hinch, Bell, and Diffie combination. Obviously, Diffie moves out of that. Lee comes in. It just seemed to carry on as if nothing had changed. We're still going to get James and Townsend on Fox now with their move across. But I don't see what they needed to change from that trifecta. But they've obviously gone with the. The first thing I saw when I saw this was, this is a Drive to Survive hire.
Well, I think, to your point about Lee Diffie and how he came into NASCAR and everyone instantly seemed to love him, I think part of that is, too, NASCAR fans were still, they knew of him, very comfortable with him, and Americans very comfortable with him from doing the American Le Mans Series all those years ago, and IndyCar, and Formula One over here, and a couple of NASCAR races, Cup and Xfinity. The average American NASCAR viewer knew of him, had heard of him, comfortable with him. That's not going to be the case here for the majority, and I think it's a real gamble. I really do think it's a gamble. 2
quick things. Adam's comment on screen. He's positive on this, as you can see. He loves the booth. Looks like it's going to be good. He's on the opposite side of the coin to us. I think, Matthew, you brought it up when we were talking in whatever day it was over the weekend. The coming to the green at the Speedway in May. I just already can't get it. I've not heard it yet. I've not seen it yet. It's however many days away. You've probably got the countdown nearby. I just can't hear and see it. I don't know. It's just going to be weird. Josh, you haven't said anything. What are your thoughts on this?
I'll give you a sneak peek as well. And at the Brickyard, we're racing. There you go. That's it. That is it. There is never. Yeah, it's. I'm with you on this. I liked him at GP2, I thought he was really good there. He had the occasional moment where he could be energetic. I seem to have it in my mind a time when we saw an Arden force Sam Bird off the track, and him in a practice commentary going, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Unbelievable! You know, get out, that sort of thing." So I think he's got the passion. Do you remember?
There was a stat talking of Sam Bird. It was Barcelona, and Sam Bird was putting moves on everybody at the same corner in the race. And he went, "Oh, Sam Bird, stop it!" Which is on YouTube. You have to go and find that. He's got his moments. Oh, there's my phone high sides off the chair. But
it's disagreeing with us. Yeah, no. I mean, I am very much of the opinion that this is going to be a disaster. I hope I'm wrong, because I think he's a fine pundit, but I just don't see Buxton working in a play-by-play role. Jerry Punch, Vince Welch, Jamie Little all struggle going from the pits to the booth. Exactly that. And did Bestwick say no, possibly? He's already got the IMSA public address role, and UConn WBB as well. And I said this to you yesterday, Matthew, that maybe he did say no. Because it to me, it seemed like it was a very much a last-minute call, because there was no goodbye Will from F1 TV, was there, in Abu Dhabi? No, thank you for joining us. No big sign-off from a paddock he's worked in for 21 years. There was nothing. And this has come up, in the last 2 weeks? It seems very much like it's been a split decision. NBC back in the day used Charlie Jones and Joe Myers to IndyCar IMSA and NHRA telecast back in the day as well. That's
back in the day, all right. I'm not going to get into the full history of sports media, but Charlie Jones was terrific on many sports. But anyway, did the Bills and Oilers 35-3 comeback. Enough out of me. American voice thing. The voice does not have to be American.
No, it was a thought process spanner in my head. Actually, while I was driving around, I was like, "Hang on a minute, who's the number one American guy now?"
Yeah. So I don't think the voice has to be American. I think the voice, the person, needs to know how to talk to Americans. And has Will Buxton done a lot of that? Yes, he was on Speed and he was on NBC. He didn't get a ton of airtime, right? On any of those.
I seem to remember when every time he came to the American Grand Prix as well, they used to make fun of him because he was in America.
So I don't know if someone to lead NASCAR or IndyCar does not have to be an American, but they do have to know how to talk to an American audience, especially in this case, I thought, because what is Fox trying to do here? They are trying to rebuild IndyCar. IndyCar is at a low popularity-wise in this country. They're trying to rebuild that. And that's why we've seen so much poured into these ads, and there's more coming. Tom Brady was in an IndyCar ad. They're trying to rebuild it. I hope he's able to talk to the American audience. We'll see. That's all we can say is we'll see. To Matt's point too, by the way. I'm going to get Indy crazy here. I want my person doing the Indianapolis 500 to really revere that event. I want them to understand the history and appreciate the history of that event. He's going to be on TV a lot, right? All of those practice sessions, all of that qualifying, that 6-7 hour broadcast on Saturday, 2-3 more hours on Sunday, the race itself. They've also announced the airtime's going to be 10 a.m. Not 11, but 10 a.m. It's going to be on the air a lot.
I'm just getting my iPad because there was a post he put on. I mean, there is no doubt in my mind that Will loves the Indy 500. I know there's a famous story, isn't it, that he brought a brick back and the airport tried to stop him. Here it is, that very brick that he brought back. He did say, there he is. Well, that's Will Buxton. Hang on, there it is. There's that very brick that he brought back from Indy. And he did say in his post, "A decade ago, I reported on my first IndyCar races, including my first visit to IMS. I fell in love with the place immediately. The history, the passion, the emotion that whips through the air as the cars rocket past you, sucking the air from your lungs, breathing tradition and understanding into your soul. On my final day, I was presented with a Culver block, one of the bricks that once lined the entire speedway. It was at the time and remains today the most humbling gift. I've always loved IndyCar and always been enthralled by the excitement of its racing and stunned by the skills of its incredible drivers. And while I always hoped that one day I might, I never imagined that would have the opportunity to join the series full time. That I would get to do in the role with the responsibility that I do in 2025. Tremendous honour. And while I'm unbelievably excited, I'm only too aware of the enormity of the task I'm undertaking and the trust placed in me. So I think he gets it. And I'm hoping we see a different style. I think he's got Alex Jakes right there, who is going to give him all the world of advice. Alex has called the 500, of course, with Sky. So he knows how to build up the pressure. And I'm hoping that Will throws all the energy into it, because the last couple of years, especially on F1 TV and the races he did in 2022, I didn't get the sense of passion. When the lights go out, it's the big moment. And when that flag falls on El Mayday, it's going to be like, you have got to go. You have got to really throw it. It's the biggest sporting event of the year, and you've got to really go for it. And I don't think he's got the gift to do it.
He knows about the history. Does he know the history? Josh, remember when I sent you my board for the 500?
Oh my God, it was A3 with facts and figures and pages of information, and it was absolutely insane.
Now,
you think I'm bad at notes? He's worse.
You would never have the time in the moment to look down and find something. Just have to know it. And if we're coming to the white flag and we're setting up for another last lap pass, we've had 2 last lap passes each of the last 2 years. That's how many times it happened previously in the first 107 runnings. Do you know that?
Was it 4?
Some of this stuff is trivial. I get it. But I think it's what people want to know. That, yeah, we had a last lap pass in 06, 11, 23, and 24. That's it.
Yes! I'm so psyched. I knew that. Oh, right. I thought you continued for a second.
That's it for me. I think I've said my piece. I feel like I've said my piece. More coming.
Oh, I'm so happy I knew that. That's a big tick for me to go down. I'll write that and stick it on the wall of the commentary box. But moving still with Buxton, the IndyCar team, because we will, as you've already said, we will have the familiar faces, of course, joining him in the commentary booth for a new adventure with Fox Sports, coming over from their roles with NBC Sports. James Hinchcliffe and Townsend Bell will continue to call IndyCar races. Fox Sports has really been working hard on promoting IndyCar, announcing the Dallas Street Race during an NFL Sunday pregame show, featuring IndyCar on its big noon kickoff college football pregame show, and recently, as you said, with a commercial featuring Joseph Newgarden alongside NFL legend Tom Brady. Now, Hinchcliffe has said that Fox Sports has huge goals to help IndyCar grow and believes it's a massive win for the sport to bring in Buxton as the new play-by-play commentator. He's worked with Will at F1 TV directly in the commentary box. They called Mexico and Sao Paulo together in 2022 as commentators. Adam says that first IndyCar on Fox commercial featuring Joseph Newgarden and Tom Brady was sensational. It was the first post they put out there on their social media. It looked fantastic. Matthew, starting with you on this one, was it a good idea for Fox to bring James Hinchcliffe and Townsend Bell over from NBC? And are you feeling optimistic about the potential of IndyCar and Fox entering the 2025 season?
Oh, yeah. They've got all the races on network television. They've obviously done their homework and a lot of extra work on getting these ads done. There's more coming featuring, I believe I read Pato Award. Don't quote me on this. I believe they're going to have one, just like they did with Newgarden, with Pato Award and maybe Alex Palou. Either way, 2 more is coming. no, Fox is going to have a terrific season, and I like the idea of bringing Hinchcliffe and Townsend together, keeping them together. They know each other. They know how to work with each other. They know how to play off of each other. That'll be great. To Matt's point, it would have been better for chemistry-wise if they would have just brought Kevin Lee over, being that those three have worked together so many times. But yeah, it's as much as you could keep the same, one for the people watching and just for two, the sake of chemistry in the booth, the better. They have to figure out how to work with Will. Like you said, Josh, already there's some history with that, but no, I think that was the smartest move. I don't know who else is out there. Like, what former IndyCar driver in the past is out there? You say, hey, he will be great on TV. I hear they're going to bring in Ryan Hunter-Reay to be on pit road for select races. But would he work in the booth? We don't know that. Maybe he would. But no, I think it's right to keep those two together. Townsend just needs to turn it down a couple clicks. Oh, my Lord. A couple of clicks, turn it down. But no, I think that's smart to keep them together.
This was the smart play. Back to my previous answer from the previous question. First of all, Townsend and everybody in LA, our thoughts are with you. We know Townsend Bell was obviously caught up in the fires last week. So good news, bad news, but obviously our thoughts are with everybody that's been affected with that stuff, including the Bell family. And he'll be, of course, racing at Daytona next week in the going to Daytona this week for the race next week at the Rolex. So busy, even more busy than it would be normally a couple of weeks for T Bell. Good to see, Hinch come across. I think he's been an amazing addition to that booth since stepping into it full time. I was going to ask the question about pit lane reporters because I'm not sure that has been reported anywhere. If it has at all, if it has, I've missed it. RHR I'm not sure about that. Maybe they would get Kevin Lee in as to reprise his role from NBC, because of course he called a lot of the practice sessions through the 500, and of course did Indy Next as well. Will be doing Indy Next. That's not been mentioned because of course that's going to be on Fox 2 next season. The ad, brilliant, as we said, I think, Matthew, in our chat, it is absolutely peak Fox Sports. That is absolutely on their level. Everyone loved it, apart from Alex Palou. He didn't like it so much.
Yeah.
They should do one with Scotty Mack. If they've got to do one with Scotty Mack, surely, because of course he would have won the championship last year if it wasn't for his St. Petersburg penalty.
And let's not also forget as well that if it wasn't for seatbelts, that championship would have turned out very differently as well.
True.
Yeah. So I don't know. I like the fact that they've kept in Hinch. I thought Hinch has been a brilliant addition to the commentary box as well. Brilliantly replacing Paul Tracy, who I think lost his marbles the second he started talking. So I like that they've kept him in. I think Townsend, I agree with you, needs to tone it down a little bit, because otherwise he's going to be stepping on Will's shoes a little bit. Don't think Lee minded it so much. Kevin, you could tell he was trying to jump in a bit more. So Will very much does like to call the big ones. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know. In terms of pit reporters, Kevin Lee would make the most sense, but he's already said he's staying at IMSA this year. So we know he's doing NBC IMSA, yeah. So that's a disappointment, but we'll see if we can do both.
I have heard Ryan Hunter-Reay is going to be there other than probably the 500. Which he'll more than likely be racing. So we're going to have to find some more people.
He'll be the Garth Tander or Craig Lowndes of the IndyCar paddock, because they do all the TV for supercars apart from the endurance races.
Maybe Tom Brady, put him on pit road.
And Jimmy.
As long as we just don't, oh God, say no. I don't want NASCAR people stepping on IndyCar people's toes. That's not what I want. Like we had with NBC. as well, which was just really strange. Who did we have at turn forward Indy last year? And in one
Jeff
of the
Burton.
sessions, and everyone was like, Jeff Burton, Jeff Burton. I was like, why? I mean, it made no sense. And to be fair, as long as Danica Patrick doesn't get involved, I think it'd be a good broadcast.
I imagine that Jamie Little will probably pop up.
She was in the promo shots, wasn't she, with the guys?
Yeah.
Last at the beginning of the week. So you would assume that would be,
well,
even if it's just for the 500 or a selection of Long Beach, St. Pete, the big races, perhaps.
We already know that Bob Pockrass is doing both. That's already been confirmed. He's announced it himself. Now, no longer reporter on NASCAR. It's now Fox Sports Motorsport reporter is his new bio. So we know he's doing both. That's sort of already going to be crossing bridges. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see, certainly in the second half of the season, once Fox are done with NASCAR, the Fox team move over. So, oh well, lasted well, it did, didn't it?
Stay tuned on that Fox bit, by the way. I don't think they're done adding motorsports properties. I'll just say that.
Yeah, you are going after the biggie, aren't you, as well, which makes the most sense as to why they've brought Will Buxton in. If the season is to be believed.
I'm not reporting anything. I'm not a reporter.
Formula Uno.
But Formula Uno, yeah. I tell you what, I've got a lot of. It really bugs me because I was at Autosport this weekend and I know so much, but it's all embargoed. I can't say a thing live on air, but I know a lot that's coming in from the paddock and in broadcasting, and who's going and who's coming and who's staying around no matter how much we don't like them. So it's like you want to throttle something. So that's going to come out soon. So anyway, we should move on to the second story, which is still broadcast related, but now related to NASCAR. So the CW has confirmed its broadcast lineup for the 2025 NASCAR Xfinity Series season. Now, adding to his play-by-play duties with Amazon Prime and TNT Sports with the Cup Series, as we've already discussed, Adam Alexander will also do play-by-play with the CW for the Xfinity Series. Alexander previously served in the same role at Fox Sports, and they'll be joined in the booth by two recognizable names from the trap, Daytona 500 champion Jamie McMurray and recently retired full-time NASCAR driver Parker Klingerman will work with Alexander in the booth. McMurray previously worked on NASCAR Race Hub and NASCAR Race Day with Fox Sports and received praise whenever he got the call to do a few races in the booth. Personally, I really enjoy his commentary. Now, Parker Klingerman as well has been working as an analyst and pit road reporter for NBC Sports alongside his driving duties. He should have a unique perspective since he's fresh out of the seat of an Xfinity car. And looking at other positions that were confirmed, Dylan Welch and Kim Kuhn will serve as pit road reporters, while Carla Gebhardt as well will host the CW's pre-race show called NASCAR Countdown Live, graphic courtesy there of the CW. I can still, fingers in the pies, I can still sense the NBC looming over this production quite a lot, with just tweaks to what, like Countdown to Green and so forth, and all the personalities going in around. So, Matt, starting with you on this one, do you approve of the CW's broadcast lineup for the Xfinity Series?
Yeah, I thought this was supposed to be a fresh start for CW this year, and maybe they've taken some of the talent, perhaps, but maybe this is going to be a new thing, and they'll bring a new perspective to it, much like we will hopefully see with our previous conversation about the IndyCar Fox booth and whatnot. But really happy about this. I've loved Adam Alexander on Fox Xfinity for the last bunch of years. Matthew, obviously, you know him from previously when he was doing his radio stuff too with MRN. As soon as Parker Klingerman announced that he wouldn't be coming back to Xfinity full time, that was he's going in the booth for CW for somewhere next year, and it's proved to be. And as you said, Josh, Jamie McMurray has been really good in his sort of panel analyst role over the last couple of years on Fox. So I think this could work really well. It sounds like it's going to be a lot of remote stuff. I'm guessing they'll be at Daytona, in a couple of weeks' time for the opening race. But it sounds like it's going to be a lot of remote stuff, more commonly knowledged and guys we know in the pit lane with Kim and Dylan. Hopefully, unlike NBC, they'll actually use them. As we didn't get to hear from them at all. The most we heard from Dylan Welch last year was when he was doing turn announcing at Watkins Glen in Chicago. But as a collective, I'm really excited about. I'm quite excited about the Xfinity Series as a whole this year, because I think it's going to be really good on the racetrack. And now we've got the TV talent all lined up. Really positive this news.
Yes, this is swing and a drive way back. That is a home run. Home run booth with Adam and Jamie and Parker, because I think Parker Kligerman's terrific. Now, we haven't seen him in the booth often or at all, but I think he's going to be amazing. Adam Alexander, familiar with the series, familiar with the people inside the series, perfect. And Jamie McMurray, I think he's underrated. I was saying that they should have had him in there with Mike Joy and Kevin Harvick, put him in the Clint Boyer spot. Obviously, they didn't do that. So I am really high on this whole booth. You've got a little NBC, you've got a little Fox, you've got CW doing things their way. I can't wait to see what the presentation of the broadcast will be, but I really enjoy the booth. Again, just circling back to a point that Matt made earlier, though, Adam Alexander is apparently becoming the next big guy, right? Like we said, Mike Joy's going to be retiring sometime soon. Alan Bestwick we haven't heard from in years, and we might not again in the motorsports world, which is so sad. After those two, I guess the third American voice for racing is Adam Alexander. He's certainly ahead of Rick Allen. So that's intriguing to me, because there's only so many places he can work, right? He's going to work at Amazon. He's going to work at TNT. He's going to work at CW. Where will he go when all of these other dominoes fall in the future? We'll find out, but we have got to get going on finding more voices to cover this sport and cover the sport well. We just have to. We're not getting it. Dave Moody and Mike Bagley are going to be at MRN for the rest of their lives. Alex Hayden is going to be at MRN for the rest of his life. We've got to find someone. I know of someone. Hi, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me. I'm not going to sit up here and tell you how great I would be at the job and try to market myself for a job like Rex Ryan is doing on another 4-letter network, trying to get a head coaching job. But if anyone is listening at Fox, NBC, or CW, take me into a studio tomorrow and I will give you 12 uninterrupted months of my time to train. We got to have someone, because we don't have many.
At this rate, before they get to anybody new and good, they'll bring back Marty Reid. That'll be good. It's a grand slam regarding the CW booth for NASCAR Xfinity Series. Well, yeah, it's a grand slam for the CW. They've got it really good, but I'm afraid that Fox might be out kicking their coverage already with it, IndyCar as well. So there you go. There's an American football term for you. I have waited years for that one. I can cross that off my list of sayings now as well. That's one down, 4,999,000 to go. But yeah, it is getting a bit ridiculous, isn't it, as well? And we still need to see what's happening with ARCA coming into it as well. And, yeah, it's a great time to be a broadcaster with every series on a different network. That is good, but it's a horrible time to be a fan, because there is so much that you're having to channel surf compared to it as well. And
I guess that's a thing, isn't it? For kind of, we're all of us, the three on screen, are all of a kind of a similar age, where now we've got all this content of YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Podcasts, streaming services coming out of our ears, where before, like for us, Josh, it was BBC One on a Sunday afternoon or ITV, and it was Murray doing Formula One, and then on the opposite weekend touring cars, and Barry Nutley doing Superbike. There was, it was one voice for one thing. Now, so open, but to the point I brought up, and Matthews carried it on, for the Americans, they've got the one. They've got the one guy. Maybe if you include Kevin Lee now doing IMSA too. Brian Till was, around.
Yeah.
He doesn't do so much anymore. So I really I know we're going backwards again. Very interested to see what they do on Fox with NXT. Very interested.
Would it be beneficial, before we wrap this bit up of broadcast segment, to say that an English commentator in IndyCar can work, i.e. Ben Edwards? He did it on Eurosport, worked really well.
Jeremy Shaw, yeah, very good.
And from a Scotsman point of view, Jackie Stewart, who I get referred to a lot when we're doing commentaries on IndyCar and NASCAR as someone who sounds like Jackie Stewart, which always surprises me. I know, I thought it'd be Murray, but no, it's Jackie. But is it worth saying that maybe it can work if you had the right level of enthusiasm? Because Jackie went nuts, and America loved him, and he loved doing it in America. So, something to keep an eye on.
I tell you what, we better not be heading towards. And there have been hints dropped on this for a number of years now, since the drivers only. My level of concern for Fox when Mike Joy does retire, just saying, "Here, Kevin Harvick, take it." Oh, please, 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 Lord, no, please.
Look, I've got one thing to say on that.
Place to fill, isn't it?
Look, here's my thing. I don't tell them how to drive. They shouldn't tell us how to commentate. End of. That's my line. That is my line. I won't tell them how to drive. They don't tell me how to commentate. That's my rule. Don't we've both got our expertise. Leave it there. And the only person who I've ever seen be able to cross that void of commentator and driver is Martin Brundle. The only one. And that's because he was trained by Murray. If it wasn't anybody else, it wouldn't work. So in terms of going into lead play by play. So yeah.
To your Brian Till point, he was a driver way back when.
Yeah.
Yep. Ben Edwards is a driver as well, but went into broadcasting. Yeah. But he got taught. Oh, who taught him? Who was it? Brands Hatch. Who did the Brands Hatch?
Brian Jones. Brian Jones. I think was his name. He retired a couple of years ago.
Bruce Jones was
not Bruce. Brian.
No, I know, but Bruce Jones was supposed to be Autosport, and he wasn't. He got replaced by Bob Constanduris, who was an honour to hear him and have a conversation with him over the Autosport weekend. But Bruce Jones didn't turn up. So, yes. You can see all the interviews on the Grid Network in the coming week. We're just in the process of editing down 265 gigabytes of data. It's been a long weekend as well. So, moving and closing the broadcast booth door and, slamming it shut with all the, how do I put this nicely? British voices trying to get through the door. So, after wondering for years if they would ever compete in the NASCAR Cup Series, JR Motorsports is entering this year's Daytona 500. The team, co-owned by Dale Earnhardt Jr. and sister Kelly Earnhardt Miller, enters the Great American Race as an open, uncharted car, so their entry will have to qualify on speed or race in through the duels. Now, defending Xfinity Series champion Justin Allgaier will drive the team's number 40 Chevrolet in the effort to put JRM in the Cup Series for the first time. JRM is also teaming up with 10-time Grammy Award-winning singer, songwriter, and musician Chris Stapleton, who will sponsor the car with his Traveller whiskey brand, and believes his Traveller whiskey brand. Dale Jr. said his team has been waiting for the right moment to enter a Cup Series race and believes the stars aligned perfectly given Stapleton's star power and Allgaier's coming off his long-awaited Xfinity Series title. I need glasses to read that a little bit as well. You got me confused there. I went straight from whiskey to says his team have been believing in the stars. I thought it was Dale was drunk for a second. Now, for Allgaier getting to drive this car for the team, he's been with an Xfinity for a long time, means so much to him. He said entering the Daytona 500 has been a team goal for a long time and believes that they'll have the resources to go out and contend for the win. However, they'll first have to make the race because they'll be among the numerous open entries that'll be fighting to race in the Daytona 500. Graphic courtesy there of JR Motorsports as well. So they've got a race in. Wow, that's a surprise. Yeah, didn't think you had to race in anymore for Daytona. But Matthew, starting with you on this one. Yeah, how exciting is this to see JR Motorsports finally make the jump to the Cup Series in this one-off with Justin Allgaier? And do you think they can make the Daytona 500 as well? Because apparently they have to qualify.
Are you sure you want to stop talking about media? There was so much news yesterday.
We've got so much going through.
Anyway, man, this just again proves that social media is just ridiculous. It's the stupidest place in the world. This news came about, and everybody was screaming at the top of their lungs, "It's Dale Earnhardt Jr. It's Martin Truex Jr." No, it's not. No, it's not. I felt like it was pretty obvious that it was going to be Justin Allgaier the whole time. I guess it wasn't for everyone. Anyway, yeah, this is going to be fun. Thursday is meaningful again, as you guys will talk about in the next segment. Something big happened there. I will be commenting, by the way, when I head off of here in that segment. But Thursday is going to be meaningful. We're going to have a lot of open bids, try to make this race, including this one now. The car looks sharp. I can't wait to see it on the track because that looks very sharp. I love that look. I don't even know what you would call that color. Anybody want to chime in on what that color is of the number and the trim?
Oh, well, the trim, what, egg white?
And I very much enjoy it. I imagine it's supposed to be a whiskey color.
It'd be a bourbon brown.
Yeah, looking at it, I'm getting very thirsty all of a sudden. So it works. I want a whiskey neat now.
So yeah, it makes Thursday that much more intriguing. And Justin Allgaier's not a rookie to the 500. He's run it at least once, at my knowledge, in 2015, in the 51 car for what I'm assuming was H. Scott.
Yeah.
I was at that race, so I don't have it totally programmed in my mind. And I was there for only one reason. It was Jeff Gordon's last Daytona 500. Anyway, it's going to be a lot of fun to see what happens here with this bid to try to make the 500. Justin Allgaier knows what he's doing. Obviously, he's won at Daytona in the Xfinity Series. Let's see what happens. I mean, Josh, you and I were on the call for the Thursday races, the qualifying races last year, and I don't think this got talked about enough as the year went on. Jimmy Johnson was this close to being eliminated by, was it BJ McLeod? I mean,
he was struggling at the back, so everything. There was no pace. He couldn't get in the draft, and we were seriously saying, he's out. And then he got through and then got kicked out, within the first 30 seconds?
When those Thursday races are as meaningful as they will be this year, it was J.J. Yaley. Yeah, sorry. It was Yaley who nearly knocked out Johnson, who had gotten caught up in someone else's mess and was struggling in the draft. And, yeah, J.J. Yaley was this close to knocking out Jimmy Johnson. Anything can happen in those races, as we know. 60 laps at Daytona. Anyone can be caught up in anything. So the more meaningful they can get, I'm all for it.
Yeah, car looks great. They've got the right guy. It's always nice to see the Xfinity champion of the year before come and do the big race. I'm big on progression on that kind of deal. So that's pretty good. Justin, is a good hand. He'll do well in that car. Let's hope they make the race. Matthew, feel free to stay for the next segment because your name's on the script for A. And B, we've now had a Taylor Swift reference and a Whiskey Neat reference. I wasn't sure we were doing a song tonight, but we are getting them, and also more broadcasting breaking news to bring you on Grid tonight live from Shay Adam from IMSA Radio, who's left IMSA. She's just tweeted, big news. I no longer work for IMSA. It was my decision. I hope to represent the paddock again one day soon. You'll see me at Daytona supporting my friends and loved ones. It's the start of a new chapter, and I can't wait to tell you all about who it's with. And there it is. Thank you, Josh. There is said tweet. The 20 seconds I spend on Twitter nowadays, and things happen. So there it is. So Shay Adam has left IMSA / Radio Le Mans, IMSA Radio side of things. So they'll be scrambling for a pit lane reporter. They've got plenty on their books, let's face it. Who's going to do MX5 Cup with John Hindhaugh now? What is going to happen there is the big news that I take away from all of this, because don't forget that's next
too.
Thursday.
I'm entertained by that.
Next Thursday. Absolutely get it in your diary for next Thursday. MX5 Cup at Daytona. You will not be disappointed. Anyway, carry on.
Is it too late to FaceTime them?
Probably on their way over already. To be they will be. They'll be in Florida. On the way back from Dubai.
Friday is the first session, of course, for Shakedown. So that's going to be a lot of fun. That's a shame. I really, really loved Shay's commentary, and I hope she still is working for Radio Le Mans in the WEC series, because I know she still does the 24 hours. So I hope she'll stay there.
They had Johnny Palmer and somebody doing it remotely most of the time. WEC on.
Oh, that's fine. I could do it remotely.
Only the radio call for WEC, and it's Martin Haven, Ant Davidson, and Graham Goodwin on the TV call for WEC. So that's big sports car side of things related broadcasting news, because of course for you guys in the States, once NBC stop whatever time that is, normally 11 midnight, they take the Radio Le Mans call through the night until they come back in the morning. So you won't get Shay in the pits for she's been doing Ferrari Challenge last couple of years as well. For I don't know if that goes out on the TV, but it certainly goes out on the Ferrari YouTube channel. I know she's been doing some of that stuff too, alongside her IMSA duties.
I suppose I could say one thing I know about the motorsport broadcasting world in terms of Formula One, because it has been very American heavy, this show, hasn't it? So to balance it out, if whether or not you're like me or insane, you are either very happy or very sad. I'm on the very sad part. That we will be hearing more of Danica Patrick this year on the Sky Sports F1 broadcast. I don't really think that wasn't the bit that was embargoed that I can't tell you about. So yeah, more Danica, everybody.
I don't think that wasn't clear either from you, Josh.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Yeah. I think it's something like 12 of the 24 races, or half the season. Yay!
Good job. I only watched the races.
Yeah.
Anyway,
moving on from that sad, depressing story to another sad, depressing story, because at the end of last weekend, NASCAR has announced some new competition rules for the 2025 Cup Series season. Now, starting with the damaged vehicle policy, the DVP, damaged cars that are I can't see the script. There we go. Damaged cars that are driven or towed to the garage won't automatically be out of the race anymore. Now, damaged cars that are driven or towed to the garage will now be allowed to make repairs and return to the race. However, any team that chooses to repair a damaged car on pit road will still be on the 7-minute DVP clock, and if they exceed that amount of time, the team will be forced to continue working in the garage. They then can return to the race. NASCAR has also created new rules in reaction to drivers rear right hooking another competitor, and Kyle Larson's decision to prioritize the Indianapolis 500 over the Coca-Cola 600. Now, if a driver receives a playoff waiver after a suspension or skipping a race, NASCAR will take away their ability to earn playoff points during the regular season. So drivers falling under this category would have no more than 2,000 points after the playoff reset. Now, NASCAR officials have also added a new rule called the Open Exception. What's this? The Open Exemption Provisional, the OEP, which is my experience, an old age pensioner, but still. OEP, which is similar to the promoter's choice used in some short track racing series to guarantee certain drivers a spot in the field. If NASCAR approves an OEP, they'll be allowed to compete in the race, but they wouldn't be eligible to score any points, prize money, or playoff eligibility. Now, this rule will only be in effect when the entry list exceeds 40 cars, and teams must seek NASCAR's approval 90 days before the race occurs. Since the OEP rule was in the new charter agreement, Trackhouse Racing was able to gain approval for its Project 91 entry for the Daytona 500, which means Helio Castroneves is guaranteed to compete in the Great American Race. If Castroneves makes the race on time or races his way through in the duels, we'll only see 40 drivers in the Daytona 500. If he doesn't, the field will expand from 40 to 41, with the provisional being recognised, the graphic courtesy there of Trackhouse Racing. What a load of rubbish. But that being able to rejoin the race guarantee someone's going to come back out and take out the guy who kicked him out of the race to begin with. It's a disaster waiting to happen. Yes. Hello, Bubba Wallace as well, who could always, Joey Logano would do it as well. It's just, ugh. So here's a three-parter question for you all. And Matt, we're going to start with you. 1, do you agree with the changes to the DVP rules? 2, is NASCAR sending a strong message by taking away playoff points? 3, do you think it's fair to guarantee a spot in the Daytona 500 for Helio Castroneves?
Much to unpack here. DVP, yes, we need to keep the cars in the race as much as we can. The flat tires scenario, Adam says he absolutely loves the new DVP rule. It's about time that something had changed. Excuse me. The flat tire scenario has been a contentious issue, hasn't it, for the last couple of years, especially since the I suppose we can probably not call it the new car anymore, as we're about to go into its third season. Logano at Pocono last year, or even the year before, when he had flat tires, he wasn't allowed to be pushed back. He was out of the race. We had Ryan Blaney, even though he had broken steering at Watkins Glen on the first lap, couldn't steer the car. But if he'd got towed back, they perhaps would have been able to fix it. But he couldn't get a tow, so he was out of the race. So I kind of like that. They need to keep as many cars in with a chance of being in the race, as long as they're obviously safe to be out there on the racetrack, especially at races like Daytona and Talladega, as we've seen it over the years. Taking away the playoff points for suspension should have been in the rule book, or something of that nature should have been in the rule book from the beginning, which would have scuppered Chase Elliott in 23. Just trying to remember where we are in the calendar as I talk. And then, of course, the Helio thing, which is, I guess, the headline of this whole segment. We've seen so many more names come, haven't we, over the last couple of years? Your Kimi Räikkönen's, Jenson Button, Shane Van Gisbergen, of course, on his way to becoming a full-time driver. Ricky Taylor, although that was a substitute ride, but still. And a couple of others, Joey Hand. Don't allow these guys to come and then not allow them to get in. Do you know what I mean? It'd be silly if they were sat on the sidelines. But I'm a bit torn on this. If I know it's Helio and that it's a big deal, but if Carlos Munoz decided that he wanted to come and race at Las Vegas in a few weeks' time, would that be okay? What about Carlos Huertas? He's a former IndyCar Series race winner. I'm just trying to think of names out of the back of my head. I don't know where does it start and stop with.
Yes,
would be my. Okay.
Stops there.
I think that has stopped. So I think you need to stop on it too.
I'm on fire.
I don't know where it starts and ends on this, but I guess Helio, big deal. To do the 500, it's Helio, so we'll probably end up winning the whole bleeping thing because it's Helio. So we'll have to see. Joe says, so in theory, if Justin in the 40 car wrecks Helio and Helio is the 41st car as a loophole. Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? If he gets spun out if Helio's in a position where he's one place ahead of someone on the last lap of a duel and they've lost the draft, say, and they need to get ahead, and that's very grey, isn't it, that one?
Boy, there's no manipulating there.
No, we don't like race
Accident
manipulation.
waiting to happen.
No, okay.
Just Joe's comment there, past Maldonado at Cota.
So here's the thing, Mike Seneca. Here's the thing. In principle, I understand why they did this, and I don't have an enormous problem with it. If Helio Castroneves wants to do the Daytona 500, if Fernando Alonso or Kimi Räikkönen, just throw out any names, want to come over and try this, it's obviously a huge story, and NASCAR doesn't want them to come over, fail to qualify, especially if they fail to qualify in some fluky way, and not have that storyline and that extra audience. So I get that point of it. We need more clarity, though. Like you said, who defines it as a world-class driver? Because part of the definition was world-class driver. Who defines that? Also, apparently, Jimmy Johnson's not eligible for it because he's a NASCAR regular, even though he's not a regular anymore. So we need clarification on how it's defined. Also, what happens if multiple come over? What happens if Helio says, yeah, I really like this, and then he says, I want to do Coda, and then someone else, again, name a name, Matt, comes over and just Kamui Kobayashi comes over and says, yes, I want to do Coda too. Are we giving two?
Montoya.
Are we giving two OEPs? Yep, Montoya. Are we giving three? So we need more clarity on that too. What really, though, bothers me about this, and you guys, I think Kobe's going to touch on it in a moment, and I apologize for jumping on that. What really bothers me about it, though, is Helio's in with no prior stock car experience outside of IROC 20 years ago, but Mike Wallace is not allowed. Really? Mike Wallace, who's been doing this for ever. Yeah, he hasn't driven this car. Okay. That's why we have testing. Or that's why we once had testing. That's why we have practice sessions. Oh, wait. That's why we used to have plenty of practice sessions. I don't see how you can say that. I don't see how you can say Helio's in no matter what. Mike Wallace can't even try to make it in. That really rubs me the wrong way. It really did. But by the way, the DVP is, Lord. We sit here, Matt, you know this. You hear me say it 26 times to start the season. Every point matters. But then someone's going to hit the wall and they're out of the race. We got to have these guys being able to compete for every point. Even if they're 67 laps down, come out and try to get extra points. Someone's calling me. This always happens when I'm on with you guys. How does that always happen?
It's Alan Bestwick.
They're calling it. Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah. So we need to have these guys go out for every point. If we're going to stay for 26 weeks that every point matters, then yeah, we need to have them go out if they can still go out, get the car repaired, and go for these points. So the DVP, thank goodness that we've done that. Thank goodness we've also taken playoff points away for any waiver. Lord, the waiver is just a mess. But yeah, the OEP needs some clarity to it.
They what they could have done, and obviously haven't. Sorry, Josh. What they could have done with the DVP, and obviously haven't. And 24 hours ago, I was watching Sandown 500 from September, so I know that the 17 car of Will Davidson had to make it back out of the pit lane with enough time to complete a certain percentage of the race to get points. They could have used that in some way. So if you have an accident on lap 7 and you're quite badly damaged, you've got enough time to get out and then still do a percentage of the, like the 107% rule in Formula 1 qualifying back in the day.
Yeah.
Let's say you have to do 65% of the race to be classified.
Yeah.
This is they do this in IMSA as well. I'm pretty certain.
F1's is 90.
Yeah. So to get classified for points, if you happen to finish in a point scoring position, of course in NASCAR every point counts and every position is a point.
And every point is a position, and maximum point gain possible is 59.
Yeah. We've had far too much fun on this show tonight. They could have done something if they were wanting to have cars. This sounds silly. If they were wanting to have cars not finish the race, then they could have implemented that some kind of cutoff.
Well, we get so the teams apparently when all of this started, the teams were like, we want this in place so we don't have to push around $1 million crash car. I'm sorry, it's a professional sport. You're going like all the cost cutting mess. I get it. We can't be spending $5 gajillion a year, but it's a professional sport. It's going to cost money to compete in a motorsports series.
Do you know, I've literally got tears around the eyes because this has been so much fun. I have to tell you what, in the hour and 7 minutes we've been on air, the most interesting thing out of all of this is that we've learned that Matthew Owen stars a landline in 2025. That's the thing that shocked me the most.
I'm so beyond my time, I'm behind it.
I'm
resetting the trend is what he's doing.
Boy, if that's not wise words from the grid.
Wise words from Walnut Cove.
I'm losing it tonight. My goodness me. We haven't even got to Hots and Knots yet.
Yes, you did. You're quite correct.
Yes. And he's also doing
nothing on a big track,
ARCA, isn't he?
No,
that was nothing on a big track. In SRX, by the way. So,
but he's doing ARCA alongside Catherine Legg, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's going to be a lot of fun.
Best of luck with that.
Adam putting his hand up for Brock Feeney in a Red Bull sponsored NASCAR Camaro could happen one day. Will Brown did.
Considered a world-class driver? Is that considered a world-class driver by the powers that be at NASCAR?
I'm waiting for Danny Rick, who it makes so much sense for him to go over there and do it.
More on perhaps one-off NASCAR drivers in the Red Bull family when we get to Hots and Knots later, perhaps.
Right, well, we're going to say goodbye to Matthew Owens now in the program. Not permanently. He's just going. We haven't shot him, don't worry. He's perfectly fine. We've come to the end of that segment of programming. Matthew, how have you found it on the show tonight?
It's been quite entertaining, hasn't it? It's been extremely entertaining. I've got to talk about broadcasters. That's very nice. One day we're just going to come up here and we're going to say, hey, how about this broadcaster? You like him or no? No, I hate him. I'm not a Tony Romo fan. You're kidding. He's too loud.
I thought I've made my position on Danica quite clear.
Very clear.
Very clear. There's two people I don't like in this world, Danica Patrick and Mohammed Ben Sulayem, and there's more on him coming in Hots and Knots later.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. It was a joy as always, and Happy New Year on January 15th.
Happy New Year to you as well. Thanks, mate, for coming on the show. Next, we're going to hand over to the other Matt for the latest from the Grid UPI update.
Yes, we've had an hour and 10 minutes, give or take, of hilarity. Let's try and calm it down and get back to the regular scheduled programming. The Grid Endurance Performance Index of 2025 is underway. The Dubai 24 Hours presented by Michelin happened at the Dubai Autodrome at the weekend, and BMW took victory. The WRT team with Al Manar were the winners. Ben Tuck, Faisal Al Zubair, Dan Harper, Max Hess, and Darren Leung driving that 777 BMW. The winners, the Evo 2 of the GT3 BMW. There was two of them in the race, and they both were winners. That was the overall winner, and the other car won the AM category, which also had Darren Leung as part of the driving lineup. So he was in both the BMWs at the weekend and won in both classes. They finished 5th overall. He was with Ahmad Al-Hati, Toby Sowery, formerly of the IndyCar paddock, of course, and Simon Travers. The Pro-Am race was won by a Porsche, that of Ralph Bone Roberts and Alfred Renauer, the brothers. Kay Van Berlo, another former IMSA man, and Jake Pedersen. They finished 7th overall, and they were the winners in Pro-Am. Race 2 of the 2025 Grid Endurance Performance Index comes up this weekend at the Yas Marina Circuit, Abu Dhabi, for the second race of Creventic's championship year. That photo on screen, by the way, courtesy of Creventic. It is the Abu Dhabi 6 Hours this weekend over at Yas Marina. So we'll bring you the results of that on the show next week as we build up to Grid Endurance Performance Index 2025, all kicking off this weekend at Dubai. That is your winner on screen. And after an hour and 10 minutes, let's bring Kobe back to the show, and he's got more of the week's headlines.
Thanks, Matt. Time for some more motorsports news from around the world. Hendrick Motorsports officially signed dirt racing star Corey Day to a multi-year deal. The 19-year-old driver will compete in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, Craftsman Truck Series, ARCA Menard Series, and Trans Am Series with sponsorship from HendrickCars.com. While we don't know his Xfinity and Trans Am schedule yet, we do know that he'll drive for Spire Motorsports in trucks and ARCA. Day will drive the number 77 Chevrolet in the ARCA season opener at Daytona, including 3 more races at Phoenix, Sonoma, and Kansas. Then he'll run 8 truck races in Spire's number 77 Chevrolet Silverado at Las Vegas, Homestead, Martinsville, Bristol, Rockingham, Nashville, IRP, and Darlington. And I actually meant for the number 7 Silverado there in the truck series, not 77. Rick Hendrick said when Jeff Gordon and Kyle Larson say someone is the real deal, it certainly got his attention, and he believes that Day has shown a level of talent that sets him apart from others. Photo courtesy of Hendrick Motorsports. The Alpine Formula One team has come to an agreement with Williams Racing to secure the services of Franco Colapinto for the 2025 season. Colapinto wasn't able to land a spot in the grid, but he's moving to Alpine as one of the team's test and reserve drivers. Alpine will have Colapinto attending Grand Prix races with the team throughout the year and share testing duties with Paul Aaron and Ryo Hirakawa. Colapinto thanked Williams for all their support for getting him into F1, and he's looking forward to seeing where his new journey takes him. Graphic courtesy of Alpine. Trackhouse Racing drivers Ross Chastain and Shane Van Gisbergen will compete in 9 NASCAR Xfinity Series races with Junior Motorsports. Chastain and Van Gisbergen will drive the number 9 Chevrolet during their Xfinity start. Starting with Chastain, he'll appear in 5 races at COTA, Darlington, Nashville, Dover, and Iowa, while SVG will drive in 4 road course races at Mexico City, Chicago, Sonoma, and Watkins Glen. Chastain said there are a lot of benefits to getting extra seat time on Saturdays in the Xfinity Series and believe he'll have a chance to win every time he gets behind the wheel of a JRM Chevrolet. Graphic courtesy of Junior Motorsports. Last year's runner-up finisher in Indy Next, Jacob Abel, will move up to the NTT IndyCar Series full-time this year. Abel will drive the number 51 Honda for Dale Coyne Racing. The 23-year-old driver from Louisville, Kentucky, spent 3 years in Indy Next, finishing 8th, 5th, and 2nd in the standings, showing improvement each season. In fall 2023, Abel tested an IndyCar for Coyne at Sebring and impressed the team. Abel said it's a lifelong dream come true to make it to IndyCar, and he has confidence in the team helping him learn the ropes of the series. Graphic courtesy of Dale Coyne Racing. And for the first time since suffering a concussion in 2022, Kurt Busch has finally been cleared to resume his racing career. Busch will join Travis Pastrana on Team USA during the 2025 Race of Champions event in early March in Sydney, Australia. This will be Busch's 3rd time competing in the Race of Champions. Pastrana and Busch will be going against some major names in motorsports such as Sebastian Vettel, Valtteri Bottas, Sebastian Loeb, Jamie Whincup, Will Brown, Mick Schumacher, and more. In a statement, Busch called it an honor to receive another invite to compete in this event to go up against the best drivers in the world. Graphic courtesy of the Race of Champions. Paul Miller Racing confirmed his two-car driver lineup in the GTD Pro class for the upcoming IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship season. Starting with the number 1 BMW, Madison Snow returns for the full season, and he'll have a new co-driver as Neil Verhagen steps up to the full-time seat. Meanwhile, Max Hess and Dan Harper will be behind the wheel of the number 48 BMW for the full season. Connor DeFilippe and Kelvin Vanderlinde will join Snow and Verhagen in the number 1 BMW as endurance drivers. Then Augusto Farfus and Jesse Krohn complete the endurance driver lineup in the number 48 BMW with Hess and Harper. Graphic courtesy of Paul Miller Racing. NASCAR competition officials confirmed that Mike Wallace won't be approved to compete in this year's Daytona 500. During last week's episode of Grid tonight, NBM Motorsports had intended for Wallace to drive its number 66 Ford with a Roush Yates engine under the hood and try to race his way into the Great American Race in an open car. Wallace's most recent start in the Cup Series was the 2015 Daytona 500, so an entire decade since he last competed at NASCAR's premier level. While he ran 3 Xfinity Series races on road courses at Indianapolis, Road America, and Daytona in 2020, NASCAR decided not to approve him because he hasn't raced on an intermediate or larger track since 2015. In a statement, NBM Motorsports said they're regrouping at this late stage and they're looking for another funded driver so they can continue with plans to attempt the Daytona 500 with the number 66 Ford. Photo courtesy of the team. Cody Ware will return to the NASCAR Cup Series full-time this year. He'll be in the number 51 Ford for Rick Ware Racing with Billy Plorde serving as his crew chief. In 2024, Ware competed in 9 Cup races with a best finish of 4th place in the Daytona Summer Race. He also earned an average finish of 21st place and feels confident heading into the 2025 season as a full-time Cup driver again. Ware said he feels like he's improved as a driver, noted the team's improvement in performance last year, and feels like that this is the best opportunity he's ever had in NASCAR with his team currently on the rise. Photo courtesy of Rick Ware Racing. That's all of the headlines I got for you, and I'm going to send it back over to Matt for this week's Hots and Knots.
Thank you, Kobe. Quickly before we get to Hots and Knots, thank you to Matthew Owens for jumping in tonight. You can quite clearly see that we have far too much fun producing this program for you. B, no pick a winner this weekend coming up, but next weekend is the first round of the WRC Championship for Rally Monte Carlo. We might, depending on the news cycle, do a bit of a preview for you on the show next Wednesday night as we get ready for the greatest show on snow and ice, and probably no snow and ice and just full dry tarmac. But it is time for Hots and Knots. We'll bring Josh back in. Tell us all about your experience at the NEC, Josh, because I'm sure it was very hot.
Joe, it was, and it was quite a surprise actually, because when we arrived, I was supposed to do Thursday and Sunday, but there was no trains up from where I live to Birmingham on Sunday. So I decided to do the public days, so the Saturday and the Sunday. Did Formula E remotely. All went very well. When I arrived, I woke up at 3:45 a.m. I got the 5:12 train. I arrived at the NEC at 9:30. And when I arrived there, it looked like I was in the opening of The Empire Strikes Back. There was snow, there was deep fog, and I know Crofty was going, whoa, 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 on the main stage waiting for Ollie Behrman. So I felt pretty much at home, to be fair. It was great. They had the heaters on. You could take your jacket off, your scarf off. I spent most of my time in a white shirt and trousers because I bought the same clothes for 2 days, different, new clothes, but the same ones because continuity. We did a lot of filming. Jess got a lot of footage. We did 2 live shows. We filmed the whole live action arena, the whole show from 2 different angles. That's in the edit now. So that's going to be out soon. We've got interviews with Jenny Gow, Oliver Behrman. We've got the Stage 1 interview. We've got the touring car drivers. We've got F1 Grid Walk. We've got esports and all that. It's a great show that we've got coming up, which is the best of the best. In terms of people we met Crofty, although we couldn't talk to him because he was running up and down the stage. He was only there on the Saturday. Bob Cotton-Juris, of course, he was great. F1 Elvis, of course, Mike Priestley, he was great to talk to. From a personal point of view, for content creators, Last Lap Lucy was there. Jake Sanson, who is going to be doing some racing with us on JB Motorsports this year. Nice. And likewise on NASCAR. So you might hear him when you're SON. You might get to work with him as well when you hop over, because he's going to be doing some stuff with us. Met Jess in person, commentated on the race with her. Met Tom. Richie was there Nelson, as well. If you
broadcasting,
Jenny, Dave as well from F1 Broadcasting. That was a lot of fun. He was working with the Racing Pride stand alongside Lucy. Great fun to finally have a conversation with him. Great respect for his work. Introduced me to Jenny Gow in person, because me and Jenny have been talking for a couple of years. She's helped me with pit reporting stuff and over the years, but to actually be introduced by somebody who knows her, I think it felt was more proper. And me and Jenny, she was on the main stage, then did a book signing, and I sort of waved her down on the Saturday and said hello and everything, and then spoke to her properly on the Sunday. And we did an interview then, about 16, 17 minutes worth we did. And she's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And then we were talking either side of it, and she's such a lovely, lovely person, honestly, fantastic. And can't say too much about the stuff she said about her plans this year. That's all still embargoed. I know a big change that's happening at Sky Sports F1. I can't say what it is because it's embargoed. I can say that Danica Patrick is doing a lot more races this year because there's a drive to have an American on the coverage, and there's a drive to have a woman who's won races on the coverage. Can't really say anything more about that. I'm struggling to find what I can and can't say. In terms of the touring cars this year, the drivers are pretty happy that it's renewable fuel and they've ditched this hybrid turbo nonsense and ballast. They hated it. They feel this year it's a bit more cutthroat, back to action racing. I can tell you that if sources are correct, we might see an old team return with initials of M and N back on the grid.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's in the works. I saw him at the Motorsports stand filling out a form. So, and it all looks quite good. Didn't see Alan Gow, but I did know he was there because I got told that by... Oh, who told me? It wasn't... Oh, I can't remember who told me. I think it must have been Dave, but... Oh, it could have been Tom, actually. Because he said he spotted him, but I couldn't find him. We did an F1 grid walk. We did that live, and then in the next day, Tom did one again on his own. That was 30 minutes, so that's on the show. It was fantastic, and there was a lot of worry on the Thursday and Friday that no one would turn up, and the hall is bare in areas still, but there was a lot of people there, and there's a lot of good stuff there, and I still think it's worth going, and they're adding more things back to it, so it was a lot of fun, and being able to go there as media, the best thing I loved was the free tea and coffee that they got in the media centre. That was lovely. But yeah, it was a good weekend, and we've got some good stuff coming, and we'll play that throughout the year as well, and we'll get all the big show together, and you'll be able to see the live action arena, which was really good and really loud, and some idiot decided it was a good idea to wear a white shirt next to thumping stock cars. There was a NASCAR. They had NASCARs there. And we saw Dale Earnhardt's 3 car there as well. It's on the show. And they kicked up so much muck. You come out and you had like black lines all over, and his shirt was covered in it. And I went home and I found out that there was a massive black line of dust just in your forehead. It actually caused me some irritation, the amount of stuff that you've got. It was unbelievable. But where we stood for the media, you'll see this when you get to the live action arena. We didn't sit in the grandstand. Oh, no. We had a special media area, which was right next to the barrier. They would go flying past you. It was fabulous. And to get that type of access was unbelievable. You need to go next year with the media pass. It was fantastic.
Yeah, not been since war. Just as a punter. Oh, I don't know, 2013 perhaps.
Oh, you definitely need to go.
Jack Villeneuve was there and on the main stage. Got his autograph in my Autocourse F1 Who's Who book, along with many others. Got in there, which is really good. Yeah,
not many on the main stage this year. They need to really improve the main stage. But in terms of walking about, there was loads of people still talking, and I ran into Tingram again, so that was nice to see. Tom Ingram.
Yeah. Always good for a chat, is old Tom. Joe says, Hot Oliver Rowland winning the winning lap passing 4 cars at Mexico. I've kind of tried to avoid it, even though knowing the result, because I've still not watched it. But thanks, Joe. No, it's fine. Adam says Josh's coverage of Autosport was hot. Makes me want to go and do one day.
It's great
for the Cooking Clash. It really. It's not quite as it was, I will say, from going every year in the mid-noughties to up till about 2013 in terms of size, but we've had COVID and lots of other things since then.
And it's slowly getting better and growing again.
Yeah. But Autosport as a whole, I think, is not as strong as it quite was. My hots for the week, I have two. They both happened last Thursday, where on the motorway on the M1, I overtook on the back of a truck on a trailer a Dale Earnhardt painted truck. It was a good wrench free. Had a for sale sticker in the back window, so I don't know if it was going to Birmingham, but it was heading northbound on the M1 out of London on Thursday about
I'll send you a
lunchtime.
photo.
So if it wasn't the NASCAR, it was a truck pickup thing. So don't know if it's going there or not. Not sure. My other hot also happened on Thursday morning about 9:30 at the roundabout outside work, where I pulled up, looked to my right to see what was coming. There was a Mercedes G-Wagon next to me. It was Alex Albon.
Ah.
Alex Albon! And then he went off towards Milton Keynes City with a Albon-based. Yeah, he lives. If you watch Drive to Survive Series 1, and that's the only series I have watched, he lives or did live at that point in the Willen estate of Milton Keynes, which is literally next to where I work. And the registration was AL63BON or something like that on
Outing.
So I was like, oh, excellent, Alex Albon, very good. So living in the carbon fiber triangle as I do is always nice to bump into or run into. It's not much like my previous job when Phil Glue turned up at the counter of my previous job. I was like, I know him. I don't know where I know him from. And then after he left, I realised it was Phil Glue. So yeah, they're my hots for the week. I'll let you go. Oliver didn't win. That was hypothetical. Thanks, Joe. I have 3 knots, I feel like, so I'll let you go first.
Mohammed Ben Sulayem.
There we go.
There you go. Saying that it's not the British Grand Prix, it's the Qatar Airways British Grand Prix. Get back in your box, man. Go away. We don't want to talk to you in the off season. Go away. Clearly saying that to try and provoke a rise out of people. I've said this before. I don't agree that the name of another country should come before the sponsor of the country we're in. Like, I don't see why. Because you wouldn't feel right if it was the British Airways Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, would it? Or something like that. It's a bit daft, but it doesn't bother me. Actually, it only bothers me in the sense that it's an OCD thing that I think it's a bit weird when you could have another thing sponsoring it, but it doesn't bother me one bit. For him to purposely come out and say, oh, it's not the British Grand Prix, I've been the British Grand Prix for years, it's the Qatar Airways British Grand Prix. Yeah, so the Qatar Airways Grand Prix of Qatar is that, the Singapore Airlines Singapore Grand Prix. What's the point? Yeah, in that case, the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix is sponsored by STC. So it's a bit ridiculous. In fact, I think this year it's actually sponsored by Aramco, which is a different brand of it. So, yeah, it's still Saudi Arabian, but it's different brands, and it's a bit it's daft, and it grates on me so much when they come in and say that, because he's clearly just looking to stay relevant, and we all know that this year. Yeah, we all know this year there's going to be a big fight between the drivers, the FIA, FOM, Liberty, and all that, everything. We know there's going to be a fight because everyone's had enough of it now. And it's just, it's a ticking time bomb. Absolute ticking time bomb. But yeah, there you go.
Yeah, once you absolutely can guarantee that on that launch, whenever the date of that launch thing is at the in London, something will slip out from somebody which shouldn't be said. And then we'll go through testing, and then something else will happen, and then we'll rock up at Melbourne, and then all of the fireworks will go off.
I'm so glad you mentioned. I'm so glad you mentioned something as well, because I found it a bit tongue in cheek. I don't know if we've got anything recorded on it. I think Jess might have it. When Jenny Gow and Crofty were on the main stage on Saturday, we recorded Jenny's interview on the Sunday, so we didn't do the Saturday one. But they were joking. Crofty asked, "Is Christine Horner in this? Is it in this book?" And she said, "I don't know, maybe look under P for pictures and things like that." So they were openly joking about it, which I thought was hilarious. And I turned to Dave, who was Motorsport Walker, and said, "You see the pictures of that?" yeah, I've seen the pictures. And it's like, yeah, I've seen them too. So it's now just like a complete open secret in the F1 paddock that everybody has seen them. And it's hilarious how much they just take the mickey out of him. So I think it's clearly he hasn't been forgotten or forgiven by anybody in the paddock.
One hot that I forgot is that I am finally, and it's taken me 6 years because it's her 6th birthday next Friday, taking children to racing tracks. It's finally happened. The glass ceiling has been broken. We're going to Silverstone first weekend of April on the South Circuit, I guess you call it, where the wing pit lane is for Britcar.
International,
It's cheap to get in. On the international route, they've got Britcar, 2 CVs, and the British Superkart Championship. So it's me and the biggest one, the sister-in-law and her little boy who loves a Lamborghini. And I thought, if he loves a Lamborghini, there's a good chance there'll be in one in the Britcar race. So looking forward to that in April. So getting to go back to a racetrack again, first time since before COVID.
I can't wait. I can't wait to take my nephew to a racetrack. I've brought him a little Fernando Alonso Aston because he asked for a toy.
Talking of Fernando Alonso, I don't know if it's hot or not. Will Power is now being represented by Fernando Alonso's management company. Just wanted to throw that out. That broke this afternoon. Of my 3 knots, one of them was MBS, but it was on the other side of the MBS coin where he said, because he was at the Dakar, that's where all this stuff has come from. He was at the bivouac of the Dakar, whatever day it was last week. And he went, oh, yeah, I know I've not been paying attention to the WRC. I know it's in real trouble, but there's been other more important things to sort out, which is keeping himself in the news cycle.
Isn't he the president of the FIA?
I'm paraphrasing. Yeah, I'm paraphrasing, but that was basically what he said. I'm sorry, I've not been paying attention to WRC, where we've got 2 manufacturers. One might be leaving probably soon, which is Hyundai, and M Sport Ford hanging on by the proverbial shoestring. Second knot, Sergio Perez's father. This is when I mentioned Red Bull affiliated drivers earlier on when Matthew was with us, saying he's going to come back bigger and better than ever. No, he's not. He's done. He'll be in Mexico at the NASCAR race in a 41 car entered back to the rules talk from earlier on, where he will be a world-class driver and they've got no choice but to let him in Mexico. But yeah, I'm sorry, Perez Senior. Yeah, it's not happening, I'm afraid. And my other big knot of the week, I've got my phone up before the battery runs out to read this Facebook post from earlier on, which I'll get to in a second. The World Rallycross Championship. I don't think that we've mentioned it at all on Grid Tonight ever, but I'm going to talk about it now. Last year had its final round at Istanbul Formula 1 circuit. End of October, beginning of October it was. Final round of the championship. A couple of weeks later at the FIA World Motorsport Council meeting, they released the 2025 calendar, which included a round in Great Britain at the Coventry Motor Fest, which is within the city streets of Coventry. That's very exciting news. Then the bad things happened. Nothing on their website since the end of November. All of their social media disappeared. And then at about 4 o'clock this afternoon on Facebook, we got this. Hey, Rallycross fans, as most of you will have seen, the process is currently underway to find a new promoter for the FIA World and European Rallycross Championships. And it won't be too long before we have some exciting news on that. Checkered flag emoji. In the meantime, we're going to bring you plenty of content across official championship social media channels, looking back at some once we have a new promoter in place, keep your eye out for an announcement about upcoming events and all things RX. They're supposed to be racing in March. They've got no promoter. The calendar might not be a thing. When we talked 8-9 years ago, not so long after IMG got the rights for the World Rallycross Championship, it absolutely exploded. Peter Solberg was champion. Ken Block was there. Tanner Faust. Sebastian Loeb was in it for a couple of years, for goodness sake. Then they decided to jump on everyone else's bandwagon and go all electric. Killed it. Absolutely flat stop. And it's never recovered since. Same thing happened with
touring cars. Yeah, touring cars. They went hybrid and it died.
Well, at least people were still watching it on the telly and turning up to the events. It Didn't happen for Rallycross. They built a track at Silverstone in the middle of the infield at Silverstone. So took it away from the home of Rallycross, Linden Hill, took it to Silverstone. Rubbish, terrible. And then after a couple of years after that, it pretty much went and killed itself when they decided to go full electric. It was trying to bounce back. It was on Rally TV, which is with WRC. If you have that package, you would have been able to see it with Mike Chen doing the presenting. I didn't watch a lot of it last year, but what I saw was entertaining. And now we've got this again. Now they're now searching for another promoter. It's the 15th, 16th of January. They're supposed to be racing in 8 weeks' time. What is going on? That's not happening. And I was very excited. That's on our favourite weekend of the year was the GB round of end of May, British Grand Prix, not so far away, and Silverstone 500 Monaco Grand Prix. That was supposed to be when Coventry Motor Fest was going to happen. So I'm kind of thankful that for one sense, I won't miss all of that stuff because that won't happen now. I really wanted to go to that, but I don't think that's going to happen. So another FIA problem.
Just
one of many.
Just pick him up and flick him away. Bye. That's it. Just please get rid of him. Please vote him out. He's not doing any good. He was voted in because he's
in the FIA, don't we, of some description.
Forget South Korea and what they are up to as well. We need him.
That's what I was thinking of.
FIA. Get rid. I really am going to be I'll do it. I'll run for FIA president. How hard can it be?
Right,
it's
Jesse.
like, come on. Yeah, well, I'm flabbergasted, absolutely flabbergasted about how messy the FIA is in right now. I mean, I did that entire show at the end of Christmas, didn't I? Was it 16? That's risen to about 22 now. Members of the FIA have left. So more have left over the winter since we last did it. It's just forget falling like flies. At this point, it's like the beginning of COVID. They're just dropping massively. No one can stop it. It's just really troublesome. And even Formula One at the moment, we're seeing people move around in new areas. We know that Mike Crack has now left as team principal, and that's being moved over. We've just seen these Sauber representatives gone, but we all knew he was going. Who's taking over as Sauber? Because it's supposed to be Andreas.
Binotto.
Which Andrea is it? Oh, yeah, it's Matteo Binotto. Yeah, he's taking over alongside
Wheatley's
somebody
going.
else. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Wheatley's going alongside Matteo Binotto. But that was supposed to be Andreas, not Seidel, the other one. And he's, he left, didn't he? Quietly. It's an absolute mess. And we need a show. We need to do a roundtable on this to properly understand it because, we need to have a proper discussion about what could be done to fix the FIA. That's a very, very much roundtable hot topic discussion for that one. Have we wrapped up Hots or Nots?
Yeah. It's been a thoroughly, very exciting and fun show and long one too. So.
I suppose it balances it out because there's nothing on this weekend, actually, in terms of pre-shows for us. It's a quiet weekend before we kick off our coverage for Rolex 24 next weekend. And that is going to be a big show. We've got our big pre-show for the Rolex 24 at Daytona. So make sure to get that in your diaries here on Grid Network. That's going to be a lot of fun as well next Saturday. But right now, please do continue to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And thank you very much for helping us reach 1,500 subscribers. Now we're very much inching closer to our next milestone, which is the 2,000 subscribers. You can hit the bell icon to get notifications so you'll know when we go on the air, and you can follow all of our social media platforms and visit our website gridnetworktv.com for a full recap of the 2024 grid ranking. The link to all of that is in the video description below. Now, you can also take 5 minutes to invest in the Grid Network through Patreon. You can join Colin, Mark, Joshelle, Robin, David, and Matthew and invest each month in the Grid Network. And we do encourage you to join these fine folks to help us keep us on the air. And once we hit $500 per month, we can afford to send our team to the track more often and continue to grow our media outlet. The link to that is in the video description as well. And if you want to do a one-time donation, you can click on the Buy Me a Coffee link. You get your name on the board and invest as much as you want. You can also consider buying a specific personality a cup of coffee, and they will thank you on the air for it as well. So for Kobe Lambeth, Matt White from Grid Endurance Performance Index, and Matthew Owens from the Ultimate Sports Radio Network, and Joshua Birch from JB Motorsports, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Good night.